And welcome back to The Count. We're counting down the major stories of the week. I'm John Bachman. We're moving on to story number 8. A conservative setback, perhaps. Ohio voters rejected a GOP proposal on Tuesday in the state's special election to raise the threshold to amend the state's constitution from a simple majority to 60%. Pro-abortion activists are claiming a victory, saying the result will pave the way for new abortion rights to be enshrined in that state's constitution in November, where a statewide vote will take place. Here to discuss this is an advisor to President Trump and host of Dick Morris Democracy, Dick Morris. Great to see you, Dick.
Good to see you, John.
All right, so Biden's campaign manager, I didn't know there was actually a campaign going on, but we'll give him a little credit here. Biden's campaign manager responded by saying the president will likely make abortion a key part of his campaign in 2024. We've heard them talking about this. How should Republicans respond?
Well, I don't think this matters much. I think that that on the issue of abortion, Americans are very much in the middle and regard the two political parties as sort of beyond the pale. The Democrats insisting on abortion no matter when, no matter where, including at 9 months, and some Republicans urging it to be prohibited the minute conception takes place. And they're kind of in the middle of it. And they, in Ohio, rejected both extremes and said by a simple majority you should be able to amend the Constitution, which is what Ohio has always done.
Let's take a listen to something that a contributor on MSNBC said. His name is Jason Johnson, and he gave his take on what happened in Ohio's election. Take a look.
Whenever you have a state that's like eking towards blueness or purple or something else like that, you see a gerrymandered Republican legislature try and block people's access to vote, change what the voting rules are, change the voting times. And sometimes it works, but occasionally if you get a universal issue like abortion, people get angry and then they're going to turn out to vote. And Republicans show again, because they're not a party, they're a dime store front for a terrorist organization at this point called MAGA. You basically see that the Republicans over and over and over again snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. This is another example of an organization that's no longer a party and operates more like a cult and a religious cult than an actual representation of policy preferences of the people.
Well, that's
right. A lot of hyperbole there. He's calling MAGA people terrorists. He's saying Republicans don't want to give anyone access to vote. But Dick, they do stay on offense and they hammer those talking points home. And it always seems like Republicans are on defense when it comes to these issues.
Well, abortion, yeah, because we control the Supreme Court, and it issued a ruling very favorable to us. But look, John, the big issue that's happening right now is that Trump, I think, is now breaking through against Biden with the issue of Chinese payoffs. And these alleged bribes to Biden that are being laid out, carefully documented by the Comer Committee, are, I think, going to be key to this election. Not just because there's a sense that Biden was dishonest or corrupt or accepted what some are calling bribes, but because almost every one of the important domestic issues in the United States traces back to Chinese influence. Why is fentanyl pouring over the border when all of it is made in China? Because Biden won't crack down. Why would there no retaliation and even call to justice and investigation of the COVID emergency in the United States when it clearly originated in China, whether by mistake or by deliberate effort? It injected a pathogen into the world that killed 6 million people. Cuba now is becoming a satellite to China, the thing that provoked the Cuban Missile Crisis. In a host of areas, China is behind many of the major problems we have in the United States. And to have a president who is beholden to them and basically was on their payroll for quite a while is a little bit like having someone in the 1960s who's a client of Russia as president of the United States. And I think that Trump has expanded.
A lot of questions.
I think Trump has expanded the issue of China and corruption to the issue of loyalty and treason.
And I think, Dick, people lean in a little bit more. They want to hear a little bit more, especially as the economy gets worse and worse. A lot of Americans know that their kids would never have these types of opportunities to fly on Air Force Two to China and then strike a $1 billion deal with a Chinese energy firm and then claim there's nothing going on here. All right. The GOP presidential candidates are at...
They might under...
What's that?
They might be given those privileges as part of affirmative action.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah, I won't hold my breath on that. But real quickly, Dick, the GOP presidential candidates are at the Iowa State Fair. They're talking with voters. Can anybody break through? I mean, I don't know if you've seen the video. Donald Trump has massive crowds out there. He has a competing event with Ron DeSantis today. I mean, it does seem like Trump is walking away with this, even though we still have several months until the Iowa caucuses.
The hogs didn't even show up at DeSantis' speech.
Well, you got to call the hogs to get them to show up. But there's
Okay.
Ron DeSantis. Yeah, there you go.
Look,
Great to see you, Dick Morris.
He's becoming an also-ran. In baseball, they have playoffs, but of the spots in Iowa, they only have the World Series.
That's true. That's true. Only room for the pennant winners in that contest. Dick Morris, great to see you.
Thank you.